Greetings programs, this is Cheapzilla215 here. Today I am here with a toy review, or figure review, and today's toy review is going to be on the Bandai Creation Wave 5 Mechagodzilla 1974. Now before I show off the figure, I will show off the box, or the packaging. Now this was the first figure, this was the first release of this figure back in 2009. And this is his box from the first release, and it was part of Wave 5 where they released the first Godzilla, which is a 54 figure, but they called it First Godzilla. But they featured that figure, Mechagodzilla, and a 12-inch Final Wars Gigan. So here's the box. The box is pretty old. I've had this thing since 2009. I remember finding it at Toys R Us. My mother took me, I bought it, it was the last one, and if I would have bought it, I would have completed the Wave 5 set. So here's the box. Now, as you can see, you get the Godzilla Final Wars title, actually, for Godzilla's name. They just took off the Final Wars logo. But there are some buildings in the background. It's kind of hard to see because it's all black and dulled white. And then we get a nice picture of Godzilla Final Wars with his heat ray. And then you get Gigan, the Showa Gigan. They should have put the Final Wars Gigan, because if you're going to put the Final Wars Godzilla in here, you should at least put the Final Wars Gigan right there. And then it also has the Showa King Ghidorah. And then you must be seeing this wing right here. That I've read on the Wikizilla page that that's supposed to be the wing of Rodan, so very interesting. Warning and all that good stuff. This is Bandai Creation, ages 4 and up. Here's the back. Now, these new figures from 2009 had the 12-inch figures from Wave 4, and these figures right here, the 68 Goji, the Millennium Goji, the Destroyer and Hedorah were from Wave 4, but they reissued it for the Wave 5 release. Maybe because Bandai Creation was thinking maybe some people missed out on them, and they thought they would reissue them and make them all a big set. I used to have the 12-inch Gigan's box. It had a much more better dialogue of the things you could buy, but I no longer have his box because it got all old and damaged, so I had to throw it out. But there is more of the Wave 5 figures, including a Final Wars Anguirus, but they didn't feature on the back of this box, so that's very, very, very disappointing, because you cannot skip a figure, especially when you make it for a reissue. But that's the box, and if you do find this on eBay, because you obviously can't find this in stores now, since it's I guess you could say it's a retired toy to be made. This is how he looks in the box if you ever find him or buy him online. I got mine from Toys R Us back in 2009, and I remember distinctly buying it because it was the last Mechagodzilla 74 there. And I was very lucky enough to find them there because I didn't have them yet, and yet I found one there, and it was the last one, legitimately the last one, because they had all the other reissues. I just needed Mechagodzilla 74, and I would have been complete with the entire Wave 5 set. So, which I'm still am, because I'm a completist, because I need to be a completist. I can't be like a non-collector who can't be a completist. I have to be a completist. I want to be a completist, so yeah, let's get on with the review, because I can't really waste too much time, because my phone doesn't really carry much minutes for when I want to download it on YouTube. But here's the figure. First we'll start off with sculpt. The sculpt is very Showa design look. I like how Bandai Creation did the sculpt of the figure. They look movie accurate, suit accurate. As you can see, it looks really nice. I mean, you got all these dents in the legs to make it look like it's a rubber suit kind of look to it. So I think Bandai Creation did a really good job with that. It's really nicely detailed. I mean, the way they sculpted this figure out and put detail on it is amazing. It's highly detailed. You can see you got all these like dots on the head and all over the body, which are supposed to be screws, I guess, since it's metal. But the screws are detailed, nicely done, individually dotted, and the head's got a really nice Mechagodzilla look to it. He's got that big eyes. He's got the neck. But overall, it does look nicely detailed. It's not very plain and like less lackluster. It's actually very impressive in detail. I mean, you got all the good detail. Bandai Creation did a very good job with this. You got the MG logo. If this was the 75 Mechagodzilla, it said MG2. But I do like the detail on this figure. It looks really, really highly detailed. When you think of Bandai, think of quality. That's what I could say about Bandai. When you think Bandai, think quality. Same thing with Mattel. Mattel and Bandai are probably the top number 2 toy companies out there who actually have care in their products. Unlike some companies out there who really don't care for their products, they just want to be cheap and just want money. The spikes on Mechagodzilla's back are movie accurate because you got the big spine at the lower end, and it starts out with small spikes and then becomes bigger down here, and then it becomes smaller again. So nicely movie accurate and suit accurate spines, so that's really good. Tail's nicely done. It's not as long as it should be because it's actually a good size right here, because this is how long the tail was in the movie. Although you could say it was pretty much sticking up a little bit more, not all the way down, but it's a good thing that Bandai put the tail down so it could balance. So that's a good idea for Bandai to for thinking like that, so it can actually balance. But as for right now, this figure is very, very impressive. I do like how it looks. Now, paint job is nice. It's all really colored. Now, instead of it just being very plain silver, it's actually got some dark gray to it. Like, if you look at these stripes right here over the body, and sometimes on the legs right here, they're actually kind of a dark silver. So it's more like a gray silver or something like that, but it's more different than the plain silver you see on the body. But it does have silver, and the MG logos are red, and these little lights right here, I guess they're supposed to be, the lights are orange, and his eyes are orange. And I would say these are like kind of screws-ins for the head brains, for the mechanics inside of his head, so I think those are what those are. But those are painted red, and if you look very closely in the mouth, he has red missiles inside of his mouth. You can see that right there, red missiles. That's really cool for paint detailing. But as far as paint job, it's actually really nice. It's not one plain color. They actually put paint detailing on it, so that's a really, really good job for Bandai. And then you get the trademarks and the copyright stuff on the bottom of the feet, and it says 2009, which was the year the figure was first made and announced and put out. Toho Company, Bandai 09, China. China. Yeah, every time I think of China, I think of Donald Trump now. Yeah, this world's gonna be changing. But paint job and detail is very nice. And I do have one issue about this figure that I am not a big fan of, is the arms. These arms are pretty much spread out like he's like getting ready to do a belly slam or something. Bam! I mean, that's what it just looks like. It looks like he's gonna do a belly slam. So it makes it look weird. It's like he's got all these arms spread out for like different reasons, but unlike the 1975 Mechagodzilla from Bandai Japan, his arms are differently made. Like, I wish they could have done with that idea, but I guess for some reason they decided to go like this. I'm not a big fan of his arms being spread out like that, but oh well. Now for articulation, he has good points for articulation. First, the head, which makes sense because if you remember in the movie, he moves his head at some spots. So, head moves all the way 360. Arms can also move. His waist or torso can also move. And his legs. Everything's 360, but I'm not going to try it because all you need to know is just the articulation of what moves. And tail does not move, it's molded into the figure, but that's okay because the tail doesn't really need to move really much. But articulation's good. Although the arms have one thing about the articulation you could do with this guy in poses. So like if you turn the waist this way, if you put one arm down and the other arm up, and if you turn his head that way, you could put him in a cool pose like that. He's getting ready to like fire missiles out of his hands. So that's a good thing that Bandai Creation did with the articulation for the arms. But I do wish the arms could have been differently sculpted. But oh well, it is what it is. So detail, sculpt, paint job, articulation, everything's fantastic. Nothing's majorly problem. This thing is vinyl plastic. It's not hard. It's a very nice normal vinyl plastic, so it's not like a hardened plastic. It's actually kind of very normal and soft, so it's not super hard. Now I would do some size comparisons, but I unfortunately became unprepared on comparison wise. So, but as for a reference, this guy is pretty much the 6-inch Godzilla line, where you buy more 6-inch Godzilla, so it's pretty much in the same 6-inch line. So just think of 6 inches whenever you think of this Mechagodzilla. But I'm pretty sure all of Godzilla collectors should have this toy, because this toy's been out for like a couple years now. It should at least be like in everyone's collection. So, final thoughts. I love the sculpt. I love the detail. I like the paint job. I do like its articulation points. The only lackluster I don't like is the arms being spread out like this. But everything else is perfect. There is no complaints about this figure. There should be no fanboys complaining about this not being as good as the Japan version, because they're both the same company. But we just have a Bandai in the US that makes US products instead of buying Godzilla figures from Japan all the time. So that's why Bandai Creation exists. So we can actually buy our own Godzilla toys in stores. So that's why Bandai America is existed. So I do like it. I love it. I think it deserves a perfect 10, because that's probably my highest score, because it's a 10 out of 10 is a perfect score for this toy, because there's no majorly problem besides the arms, but I could get away with it mostly because I've had it, but I just think they could have done a better job. But a 10 out of 10 is a perfect score for this toy, especially what it's like and especially what it's worth. So if you ever come across this for a good price on eBay or a comic book store, definitely pick it up. They also reissued this as the EX series for the Godzilla toys, where they pretty much reused the Bandai Creation figures, and we probably all know about that, so I'm not going to go any further about that. But anyway, pick it up. It is a nice piece to your collection. It doesn't matter which one you get, if it's the EX series or Bandai Creation, it's still the same toy. I just got mine when it first came out, so I hope you enjoyed this review. Again, a 10 out of 10 for this toy. It gets a perfect score, and it gets a perfect masterpiece to be in your collection. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy it. Bye.